So today we're talking about your highest self. So I'm going to be really real with you guys. This is going to be a really personal video today. So I went through sort of a breakup this Valentine's Day. Fun. And although it was my decision, I was very sad, and I really felt in a not great place. I didn't feel like my best self. I didn't feel like my happiest self. I didn't feel like the person that I would want people to see. And I was in that sort of place. I canceled a coaching call and rescheduled it, and I didn't do anything basically all day except sit through my negative emotion, which is fine because I always recommend, like, you do have to allow the emotion. The further you push against it, the worse it gets. But I had a conversation today with my best friend that really blew me away. And she said, when my father was diagnosed with cancer, I wanted to cancel all my calls the next day, and I didn't feel up to it. I didn't feel like I would show up the right way. But instead I said, despite what's going on, I'm going to show up as my highest self. I'm going to show up for those people. That's what I'm going to power through it. And no matter what's happening in my life, I'm going to be there for those people. And that really hit me. When we do this work with the self-integrity work, when I talk about honor your word as law, constraint, congruency, when I talk about these things, there are so many levels to them. That's why I say, there are 52 weeks in the year, and work 1 week at a time, because at the end of the 52 weeks, there are still going to be layers, there's still going to be levels, deeper. You can always go deeper into the work. And so I want to kind of share that with you, what I've been going through, and that today I learned a really deep level to something that I already practice and I already teach, and that is, honoring your highest self and showing up that way as your best self is not something that is always easy to do. That's why people don't do it, because it's not easy. That's why people show up as a mess. They show up as how they're feeling exactly in that moment. But people who are successful, what I like to call warriors, we act in spite of our moods. We do the hard stuff. We show up even when we don't feel like it. We do it not when it feels good, but even when it feels bad. And for me, that was just such a moment, because I do that for most of the time. This was just a really, really intense emotion that I was feeling, and this was probably what I would say just like a whole nother level to it. I should have shown up that day. And I can't change the past, but I can change how I show up moving forward no matter what I'm going through. And it really does make the difference between who you are now and who you want to be. And the more that you show up as the person you want to be, as the person who would have the dreams that you want, the more you live into that, and life just gives it to you. So that's kind of my little soapbox today, to share with you something a little personal for me, but it was really an aha moment for me this morning. I was just like, whoa, I'm so grateful for my circle of friends. We're going to talk about that in later calls, but it's really important to have those people in your life who, any other person I would have called would have been like, oh, girl, I totally understand. You've got to take care of you. But she was like, listen, I'm going to use this moment to, love you, but also tell you something so you can grow. And I'm so grateful for that. So that's what honoring your highest self really is. It's like showing up even when it's hard. It's showing up when it doesn't feel good, and showing up as the best version of you. That person that you when you're in your highest self, because you don't feel resistance. You don't feel anger. You don't feel fear. So if you've ever been in a situation where normally you might get bothered by certain people, and then you're on such a high one day that they come around and you're like, no big deal. That's when you're in your highest self mode. You can actually live from that place. You can live from that place of no one can affect you, no one can change your mood, no one can be toxic to you because you've mastered who you are. You can live in a world where you honor every commitment, where you show up 100% all the time. You can live in that world. But in order to live in that world, you have to be constrained in your time and your energy and your money. You have to be honoring your word and have a lot of trust and security and faith in yourself. And you have to be congruent all the time with your actions, with your words, with your feelings. That's what it takes to be your highest self all the time. But it starts with just really being aware of it and trying it as often as possible. You know, for you, like for me, it was hard to try to do a breakup and run my business at the same time. But I don't mean like right away jump into those kind of things, you know, like take your coaching calls the next day after you find out your parent is terminally ill. It's a start. It's something you just, one little thing at a time. Like maybe one day you just don't feel in the mood to work your business and you decide to honor your word and show up as your highest self anyways. You decide to put all of it behind you and say, I'm still going to show up and I'm going to love the current moment that I'm in no matter what's happening elsewhere. It's not about creating perfect circumstances. It's about showing up perfectly no matter what circumstance that you are in. It's about not needing a life that doesn't have chaos. It's about being able to be mindful through the chaos. That's what it's really about. When you're able to do that, the second part of honoring your highest self is controlling your energy and the energy around you. And I don't mean control as in forcefully. I mean being responsible. So when I show up somewhere, I take responsibility for my energy. Is my energy aligned, congruent with what I want in my life? Do I show up for people and make them feel good? Do they feel good because I feel so good? Because remember, I'm congruent with my feelings. That's what I mean by showing up that way. And when I am able to show up that way, if other people aren't showing up that way, my energy can influence other people. Because when you are an energy influencer, that is when you can walk into an uncertain situation and bring the certainty. Because remember, you have so much trust in yourself. Because you have so much security and certainty built up because you always honor your word. And because you have constrained your life, so you have the energy to do it. You have the energy to show up because you're not overextending all your energy. And then because you're not overextending your energy, it's easy to be congruent and do the things that you need to do to build your business or change your relationship or have the life you want. And then when you do all of that, that is when you're just actively staying as your highest self always. So if I could just impart that on you, I know it's a little bit later in the day, but this was I had to get to a place where I could share this message with you all, and I felt like it was deeply important for me to share this message with you all, because when I'm learning something and something like hits me, that's when it always comes out as my best teaching moment. So I offer myself as a little bit of a sacrifice for you all, but I hope this message lands in you and you're able to even just one time this week show up and let everything go that's happening and just be present in the moment and be who you dream to be that person you know you can be, even if it's for 30 minutes straight. It's a start. And once you know how it feels and once you do it one time, even if it's for something small, like maybe you just didn't have your coffee that morning and you still have to go to work and you have to show up like you did have your coffee. It could be something so small, but start there. And the other videos that we've talked about up until now, those are what make it easier to do this. So if I can help you in any way, let me know. If there's something amazing that happens to you this week, let me know. We all want to hear about it. We're already starting to hear, but just keep them coming because it's pretty amazing. All right, so I'm going to try and log off here. My computer locked out. Hopefully it recorded all that. Otherwise, I might be a little sad. But you guys have an amazing, incredible week. I love you, and I will send you another video tomorrow. It'll either be on choosing or opportunity. One will be one day and one will be the other. So we'll talk soon. Bye.